I was really upset about it, and I started thinking, and my mindset went to this. I go, you know what? This might be meant to be. What happened if I would have got there and I would have broke my fucking leg?
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yeah!
Last time you were on here, we ended off talking about the daily routines that we do and affirmations, and you had mentioned that you don't write everything down when it comes to your chief aim or your gratitude list. When I first started 3 years ago, I want to say it was, and it was because of a friend of mine. Shout out to Scotty. I didn't write anything down. Every morning I would go out onto the deck with the dog, and I would recite the same thing. And every morning I would almost like have to try and remember all the things I was saying. And then I started, because of the information I was receiving, like through the stuff I was scrolling and the books I was reading, it talked about like how good it is to write things out and use auto-suggestion. So what you're doing to start off with is great, is the auto-suggestion. The writing it down obviously helps you recite the same things all the time. So I wrote it all down, like typed it out, made an actual document of it. And then I just sent that to my phone, took a photo of it, put the photo into my favorites.
Yep.
And so now every morning when I wake up and I go outside, I'd open up my favorites and all 4, 5, 6 documents are in there. What you mentioned at the last episode was about affirmations, about how you have an affirmation that you listen to.
Yeah, I guess I guess you want to call it a guided affirmation. It's called Positive Morning Affirmations. The power of word, I think, is very strong, and that when you set yourself up and you're listening to all these positive things and you're repeating them and you're paying attention to them, you're changing your mindset, and I feel like it puts you in a better mood. And obviously everything, when you're in a good mood, more positive things happen, more positive things come your way, as opposed to like being grumpy and walking around all pissed off. So I just think it's an excellent way to start your day. And that's the main purpose. But yeah, I listen to the same one every day, and I have a gratitude meditation that I also listen to. So I have these 2 YouTube videos I've been listening to for like a year. The gratitude one I miss every once in a while. I probably should get back on it, but the morning one I've literally got, like, I'll show you this real quick here. So like right there, let's see that little YouTube link.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. I just click on it
and it's there.
Let it ride.
I have 2 different affirmations that are in my favorite photos that I recite these morning and night, and I recite each one 3 times, because the whole 369 Nikola Tesla talks about 369, about how like 9 is like the kind of like the finishing off of it, basically. So you do these things in these steps. So every morning and every night I have 2 affirmations, and I have a list of others that I'm going to eventually be implementing into it. But 3 times I recite. One is more about the wealth aspect of life, and another one is about the health aspect of life. Mm-hmm. With all of this, adding new stuff to it every so many weeks or every so many months is important, because like you had mentioned before, you were never a routine person.
Yeah.
And the routine kind of sets your day up for happiness, and it helps you live happier. Mm-hmm. Adding to that routine, I talk about this quite often. We have a certain amount of hours in a day of productivity, of possible productivity. I don't know about you, I average around the 6 to 7 hours of sleep. So, for the 16, 18 hours of possible productivity. Realistically, I know that I spend probably 2 to 4 hours wasted kind of as you move stuff around the house kind of aspect, right? Like, I'm going to clean today, but it's clean. I'm just moving shit around. Yeah. So I've taken the time to add more to my routine of things I do to make sure I think happier, speak happier, live happier. So I add more affirmations, or I add more to my chief aim or my other goals. And I noticed that because I'm giving myself more time to do those things, at the end of the day, I feel fucking so good, because you'll see on your way out here, I have a couple of whiteboards. Every day, if not a few days in advance, I write down all the things I want to achieve on each one of those days. I unfortunately feel guilty if I don't do all of them, but I realize I'm human. But when I knock every one of those things off the list, oh my God, it's like 5 p.m. and I'm like, I've accomplished so fucking much today. I can go to bed like I'm in a good mood going to bed. I wake up in a good mood because I'm actually excited because when I wake up, it's hit the shower first, take Sushi outside for a walk, and sit down with my journal, and I get all my stuff done. And it's like the thought of, oh, I have to do this is out of my head.
Yep.
It's, I get to go do my stuff right now.
Yeah, I have a productivity planner. It's the same concept. It's has a space for 5 things, and it lists like, hey, this is your most important. These 2 are the next important, and then these 2 are the next important. And then it gives a how long you think it will take to complete it, and it does that. What's the name of that? It's the method where you're only working for 30 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break. And you work for 30 minutes, and you take a 5-minute break.
I've heard of it. I don't know
forgot
the
what it's called.
terminology.
There's a term for it, but so that's the approach I took. But as long as I knock out 3 of those 5 things daily, what most of it is business. Most of it's what are 5 things like on my whiteboard. I have what my goal is, what the big goal is, and I split that off into little goals. And then I just knock out these tiny little things every single day that help me move forward and help me get closer to achieving the ultimate goal. But that's also part of my process. And I'd like to get into journaling.
It's amazing. I'm not going to lie. I never did it as a kid at all. And obviously as a teenager or a young 20-year-old, you'd probably make fun of people that did it.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for anyone that I may have harmed with my words in that aspect, because now that I live this lifestyle, and Pete, that's been over here a couple of times, like probably 5 times, we laugh about it because for anyone out there who's not watching this, that isn't into this kind of stuff, it's dumbfounding to me because, as once you start doing it and you see in your own life the actual good results from doing these things. And I say, like, you have literally leaps and bounds transformed as a human being. But at the same time, I can see, because it's a newer practice in the past couple of years for you, where you're going to go to is unbelievable once you start attacking this even more. Yeah. And once you go from watching the affirmations and watching the meditation videos and start implementing that on your own, which we can go over that like off screen, what I do for meditation, visualization. I'm even into the whole energy and the crystals.
I was talking about the today. I have a crystal in my car. Some random guy, some guy sitting there. And we're in a health food store, and he's looking at all this shit, and he's like, man, what, he's like, my trainer told me I need to eat healthier. He's like, I'm here. I don't know. Is any of this good? And I kind of helped him out. And then I went back to my car, and I'm like, well, this might be a guy I can help. Let me give him my card. So I gave him my card. And he goes, come with me. And he brings me over to this. He's loaded. He's like some major designer. Actually, he showed me all these things he works on. But he comes and he goes, these come from a mind in whatever, I forgot where it was. And he's like, it's a healing stone. And he gave it to me, and it's still sitting in my car. And I was like holding on to it actually earlier today. But I have a little wooden hand full of crystals, and I charge them every once in a while.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's just easy. I like to do all these little things that, if it works, great. If it doesn't, who cares?
What'd you lose? What'd you lose? Right.
But I know that, in my head, it gives me, it makes me feel good knowing that, like, I'm putting more positive energy in my life.
It absolutely comes down to a belief system.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe is possible is possible.
Yep.
And anyone that doesn't think that, I feel sorry for them, because I'll use this as an example. When I was younger, up until not too long ago, maybe 5 years ago, I believed without a doubt in my soul that if I told someone something was happening, like, you forget, like, let's break it down to a real simple thing. We're out at a bar, and I'm like, yo, dude, that girl, Julia, man, she said she's coming over tonight. I'm going to fucking get laid tonight. And then as I'm saying it, I'm like, fuck, I said it out loud. It's not going to happen now.
Yeah.
And I believe that so much, and that person would cancel on me. And that's just like a small example, but with everything I did in my life, promotions, raises, anything of that nature, if I accidentally said it out loud, I believed it wouldn't happen. And it didn't, but I never was in this realm of life. So I never noticed the level, the weight that had.
Yeah.
So when you believe in these things, then you have the capability of receiving them. There's a lot of books up here. I want to find out afterwards if you've read or not, because everything that you talk about or everything you say that you're starting to do or you have been doing is the beginning stages of it. And since you've already received so much growth and so much goodwill from it, there's so much more that you can achieve.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I was like, okay, I've done all this, I've received all this. I want to take it to the next level. So I was like, I was like, well, throw in a little more prayer at night. Let me throw in some more affirmations. Let me get down and get better with my meditations. And I do like, and I've been slacking, but I definitely want to add more to it now and start taking it, to the next level.
You're a human being like all of us.
Yeah.
We all slack at times. Like working out, it is such a disciplinary act that you have to do. And I say this all the time. Every single thing that I do is a practice that needs to be done every day.
Yeah.
Do I do it every day? Occasionally I falter, or I'm about to travel back to Thailand to see my girlfriend. I'm going to be in transit for about 30 hours. Am I going to find the time to do all those things? Probably not, because when I'm on a plane for 15 hours, I'm pretty sluggish.
Yeah.
I pretty much want to pass out.
Yeah.
So things will happen, but don't let yourself fall off too much.
Yeah. And don't beat yourself up.
Right, exactly. Going back to the journaling aspect is, I have like 3 or 4 different books that like I pretty much travel with, like that has different things I write in them. It's therapeutic because you get things out. I always say to people, like, I always evaluate my day when I walk outside with the dog. I always look up at the stars and I look at what I did during the day, good and bad and whatnot. But then when I go into bed, I try to like write out the things. I do whatever I can to let go of the day so I'm able to have a good sleep. So the journaling is absolutely a wonderful idea. And I would suggest start doing it right away. And if you don't have a book yet, just in your phone, make the notes.
And then, so you just kind of
just write out whatever's in my brain.
Whatever's in your brain.
Whatever, don't matter. It could be literally gibberish.
Yeah. And just whatever comes to mind, you just write about
That's it.
Okay. I'm going to try that. Because I mean, the journaling that I looked at too, also there's some like ones with prompts and stuff like that.
You can get books. Like I have books that I've like that 369 book there I bought offline, right? Because I saw it on a TikTok or something. I went on Amazon and bought it. I just bought my girlfriend and I both a gratitude journal. So it gives you more activities to do. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just writing down because sometimes it's hard to like think like, what am I grateful for besides, I can see, I can breathe.
My productivity planner, that's the first thing it says, like, what are you grateful for? And a lot of times things come up to mind, but sometimes I struggle a little bit. I'm like, I don't want to say the same things over and over again. So I try to think of things, sometimes it's just, I'm grateful for beautiful trees,
100%,
whatever it may be. So,
and that's all journaling is. Journaling is a way in which to get this stuff out. That's it. It doesn't matter. It could be the most positive stuff. It could be the most scariest stuff. Just get it out. That's the whole point. So here's a question for you. We live positive lives. We do our best to do so. I've done a lot of practicing and I have people in my life that write books like this that I've been educating myself as much as possible. Like I said, I've been trying to take away the non-productive hours and add reading to make myself not just productive, but I want to be an intellectual person. The best way is to read things that are going to help you. When dealing with negativity, right? Like whether it's in your environment, at work, at home, or when negative thoughts come in your head, how do you deal with that currently?
I think I just kind of in my head try to talk myself down. I try to really realize that, this is just a very small moment in time. And whatever that feeling is, it really doesn't matter. Like I start to think, even if it's the smallest thing, this is one thing I think, I don't know if I learned this from someone, but thinking in my head, like I have something pop up that really sucks. Let's say that my boss writes me and he says, hey, we've got to talk on Monday, and now all of a sudden my brain's going, fuck, what's he want? Am I getting fired? What, did I do something wrong? And you're thinking and you're like freaking out. I start thinking, let's just say the worst case scenario happens. I do get fired. Is that going to matter to me in 5 years down the road? Probably not. Is it going to matter to me 6 months down the road? Probably not. So I try to like talk myself down, I think, that way. And the positive affirmations, like if I end up in a situation where I'm really fucking depressed or I'm upset about something or mad, I listen to either that one or I'll pull up other ones and just listen to positive words, and I feel like that kind of calms me down and puts more positivity into my brain.
You were on such a wonderful trajectory for literally creating your reality and receiving everything you've ever wanted, because the realization of when bad shit happens to me, it's not the end of the world is the best way. I have lost multiple jobs, not from the fact of not being able to cook. Other situations happen or circumstances and your job's gone. And in the past, I would think my world was over.
Yeah.
But being able to know you're more conscious and more being present when it happens, and you can realize that it's not the end of the world, knowing that whoever he is to you, has a bigger plan for you, and that thing not working out for you is probably the best thing that didn't happen to you.
That's exactly the mindset I go into. And let me just say that in this whole journey, I think that's one of the coolest things for me is to realize that it's like almost like I slow down now. When I get a thought or something happens, I don't react as quickly. I think about it. And whatever comes out my mouth, before I used to just spew bullshit. Let's just say it's a fight with a girlfriend and she's done something to piss me off. Back in the day, I was kind of a shitty person. I was an asshole. And she comes up to me with something I did wrong. Oh, I saw you fucking writing this girl or something like that. I'd find a way to flip it to start fucking yelling at her, And now, like, if someone approaches me with something, I start trying to think in their shoes and think about how they feel. And I've noticed that I take my time and I think about it and I approach things in a manner where it's positive. So what were you, I forgot where I was going with this whole thing.
It was just being able to be conscious of what's going on in the moment and knowing that any bad thing that might happen to you is actually good for you.
That's my same approach. And I'll give you like an example. I was really excited there was a Spartan. I did a Spartan race. I was like, that was fucking fun. Crawling through the mud, crawling under the barbed wire and getting dirty and climbing ropes. I was like, that was badass. I really enjoyed that. I want to do another one. So I looked and I went through their schedule and I said, what's a city that I've never been to that I'd really like to visit? And I looked up all the courses and what's the best courses in the country. So I came down to Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was outside of Salt Lake and it was like in the mountains. It looked badass. I was so excited. The day that I went to fly out was the day that, do you remember when the whatever systems went wild and no one could fly out for an entire day?
Oh, yeah. That wasn't too long ago.
That wasn't long ago.
Yeah.
It was 6 months ago, maybe 7 months. And that was it. I couldn't get on the fucking airplane and the race was in the morning. So they're like, we'll send you out tomorrow. I was like, that's not going to do me any good. The race starts at 9:00 in the morning. You'd have to get me there by 6. And what am I do? Travel all night and fucking go run 3 miles and do all this shit. And so I was really upset about it. And I started thinking, and my mindset went to this. I go, you know what? This might be meant to be. What happened if I would have got there and I would have broke my fucking leg, or I would have injured myself, or, something bad could have happened. Maybe this is his way of saying, you know what? I'm going to save you from this situation. We're going to take a little,
a little detour.
So that's kind of like some of the mindset shit I do when things hit the fan. And my girlfriend was just going through something similar. She was excited about competing in something. And that's what I said to her. I go, well, maybe it wasn't meant to be this time. You can do it next time. Because she had a friend coming to town. She double booked and she was all upset about it. I said, you could have got injured and then not been able to work out for 6 months. Can you imagine the depression you'd go into? Maybe this is just him helping
saving you
from a shitty situation. So yeah, that's
awesome.
That's the mindset.
The other point that you made there to answer the question about negativity coming into your life is when something happens to you, or when you have a negative thought, you already said, which is what we need to do is, and a negative thought comes in, it's okay. Allow it to come in, let it go and replace it with a positive thought. And you're already doing those things.
Yep.
So you are like, you are literally aligning yourself for everything you've ever wanted, because you already have all these new practices that you're on the best trajectory for literally creating whatever it is you want.
I hope that happens.
It's happening.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
Like when you think of it, because you already said the very first thing you said on the last episode, putting out your vulnerability about what you were going through in the past years or whatever has not just brought people to you, but has brought people that you wouldn't think would come to you to say that they go through the same stuff. You now have a successful business where you're helping people, you're receiving financial gain, right? You're living a better life than you were before. You have more gratitude within yourself, and like everything's kind of fallen into place for you.
And it's crazy to think back, like even if we go 6 years ago, I was suffering, going through drugs and alcohol and a terrible lifestyle. And I remember like I'd constantly be praying, I want to get out of this. Get me out of this. However, because I was struggling to stop, get me out of this. And all I could think about is like, I was so depressed and I wanted to, and I was tired all the time. I just like, you know what? I just want to live comfortably. I want to be happy and I want to have energy and I want to feel good about myself. And I want to get out of this fucking nightmare of drugs and alcohol. And it happened, you know? So in a way I manifested that, but now it's like, I feel like I've been doing the same practices for a year. I feel in line and I'm in the right direction. Sometimes I slip off a little bit, but I try to jump right back on the horse. But I would like to take it to the next level. And
for me, taking to the next level, I've shared this with other people. It's actually coming up on a year now. The first week or so of March last year, funny enough, is when I had the biggest epiphany of my life. I was in the shower and I was brought down to my knees basically in the shower, and I was like not gasping for air. I was the emotion of crying without actual crying was happening because it was like waterfalls were like just crashing down upon me with the realization that I had literally received everything that I had been asking for.
I've been in a similar situation.
And that's where I realized, like I said before to you, is where I realized that I have been given everything that I have been asking for, some for decades, some for a few years. And that now, as long as I keep asking for those things and living the lifestyle that I am living, I can ask for more. So to get to that next level, like there's an episode with a friend of mine, Gina White, last March that talks about getting to that next level. And it's like when you're playing Super Mario Brothers, right? And you get to that next level, you're like super excited.
Yeah.
I have no idea how many levels there are in this journey of life that we have, but knowing that you've accomplished a level and knowing what it takes to get to a new level, and now basically what you need to do is you need to double down.
Yeah.
So everything that you've been doing, double it up.
Yeah.
You know, the thought process, the gratitude, the writing things down, the saying it out loud, everything that you encapsulize in your one day, double that every day.
Yep.
And I don't know if it takes you 6 months, it might take you a month, might take you 2 years. Every time that you kind of like shed that skin of the old you and you become the new you and you let go of all that other stuff, it's euphoric. It's literally massive. Like you feel it.
I'm just going to comment on a similar moment. Before we started, we talked about the girl I'm dating, and when I met her, I'm telling you, the moment I looked at her, I was like, there was something there. There was like a spark, and I saw her at the gym. I saw her working out, and I was just completely like taken back. I was like, who the hell is that? And it was more just than a physical attraction. There was just an energy about her. And I left. I didn't say a fucking word to her. She walked out the door. I sat there. She didn't even look at me. The next day, I'm sitting in the office, and she writes me on Instagram, and she's like, "Hey, I saw you at F45. You look very familiar." She's like, "I think we're Facebook friends." And then I realized, I was like, "Oh shit, we are Facebook friends." So we just started fucking talking and talking and talking. And then she had to leave to go to Wyoming. And, I was just like, I really fucking like this girl. And I feel different than any other relationship I've been in. Like, I feel like this crazy side. I feel like this is the fucking one. And I remember sitting there and she was gone for 6 months, and, we're dating like a long distance thing, talking, FaceTiming every day. And I remember saying to myself, man, all I want is like this girl to be here and for us to like work out together and be able to like hold her and physically be there with her and watch movies with her and just live a simple life and do all these simple things together. And I was sitting there and we were doing that, and she'd been back for a few months, and I'm sitting there and I got really emotional for a second, and I'm like, and she's like, what? I was like, this is all she's like, I prayed for this. I prayed that you and I would work out. And you'd come back here and we'd be doing the exact thing we're doing right now. It might seem so small, but
it's huge.
But it's huge. And She's part of my daily gratitude like prayer. She doesn't know that. Hopefully, she doesn't watch that because that's
no, she should know that. You should tell her.
I might have, but I say that like one of the things I say is thank you for a healthy child. Thank you for my health. Thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for the food on my table. Things like that. And then one of the things is thank you for bringing her to me and having this great relationship.
I'm going to show you after we finish recording here. I'm going to show you my list of stuff.
Yep.
My girlfriend is long distance. She lives in Thailand. She's from Thailand. And she's part of multiple things of my daily routine.
Yeah.
And it's not just the gratitude of one of the things I say is I'm grateful that I became the person to attract the person I wanted in my life.
And I'll tell you what, that's what it is, man. That's why when I tell people you do make all these changes, like she's the best girl I ever fucking dated in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's fucking awesome. And the me 5 years ago, 6 years ago would never have
had her.
Never in a million years. And it's cool because now she also motivates me to be a better person. Because I think about these things like shit. I might want to fuck off one day and just like, oh, I don't want to do any work. Because, working for yourself and starting your business, there's a lot of little things that you should do to become successful. I should be there on the internet talking to people, starting conversations with people, trying to help people. And I might be fucking off. And then I think I've got this amazing girl and I want to be able to provide and give her everything she wants. I've got to sit down and do my work. You know? So it's a motivating factor. So it's really
what I'll say this before we wrap up is in your gratitude list, you should also add to it what you're grateful for with her 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Because I talk in my gratitude list or in my prayers specifically about how happy I am of what we've created together, all the businesses that we have. But I also talk about how I'm so grateful for having such a wonderful wife.
Nice.
How we have such a wonderful, happy marriage built on honesty, trust, loyalty, and love, and that we have healthy, happy children and healthy, happy grandchildren. Like that's how far in the future that I'm manifesting. It's important. Love talking to you. I love where you're at in life. Thank you so much for coming back here. We're going to talk a bit more off screen. Once again, thank you very much, everyone out there, for coming back each and every week here on the Lyfe Choyces podcast. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about
the journey. Lyfe Choyces podcast.